Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my channel. The name of the channel is Angry Taxpayer, and I'm your host, Donna Smirniotopoulos. Today is Tuesday, September the 10th, and our topic today is crosswalks, sidewalks, and the big double cross, and why you need to start paying attention to those 300-page packets that the Common Council is sent every couple weeks, which include the consent calendar. The consent calendar is the list of items that have been forwarded to the Common Council for the mayor's approval, and they're usually funding requests. So one item that caught my attention, not because I'm vigilant, but because someone who is vigilant brought it to my attention, is under the Public Works Committee, item 2A, and I will read it to you. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Layden Industries, LLC, for project number TMP 2019-2, Artistic Crosswalk at West Avenue and Connecticut Avenue intersection for a sum not to exceed, wait for it, $76,870. And then item 2B is to authorize the Chief of Operations and Public Works to execute an agreement with Layden Industries for a sum not to exceed $7,870. So that seems to be the 10% deposit that's required. Now, in the grand scheme of a $325 million budget, a little more than $75,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money. I support the concept of an artistic crosswalk. When the idea of a rainbow crosswalk first started to be advanced by, I believe it was the owners of Troop 429, we were under the impression that this was a painted sidewalk. And I believe there was some efforts to execute on that, and there were questions about the expense. One of my concerns about that particular effort was that the rainbow crosswalk was going to be immediately in very close proximity to an establishment that advertises itself as the only LGBTQ bar between Manhattan and New Haven. So the placement of a rainbow crosswalk there was a little advertising, especially if it was coming at taxpayer expense. So that got tabled, but what happened subsequent was Triangle Community Center, which is an LGBTQ outreach center, and they offer counseling service, and they do a lot of great work, and they applied to this artistic crosswalk program. The artistic crosswalk program is an initiative coming out of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking. Catherine Hebert is the chief of that department. Transportation, Mobility, and Parking was formerly the Norwalk Parking Authority, so things have changed up a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how this is funded because the Parking Authority was ostensibly self-funding. So if we backpedal to see how this item got to the agenda, we can see that there was a traffic authority meeting in July. Initially, I had trouble pulling up the minutes from that meeting because they weren't there. So Irene Dixon was nice enough to forward them to me, and I believe that Kathy Hebert has now posted those minutes onto the website where you can find them. So here's the item as it appeared at the Traffic Authority meeting. Approve the installation of decorative pavement markings on the edge of the existing crosswalks at the intersection of West Avenue and Connecticut Avenue. This is in close proximity to the Lockwood Matthews mansion. And there were 3 commissioners present. There are only 3 Traffic Authority commissioners, and there are also police commissioners. One of those is always the mayor. And the mayor, as you know, is a former police chief. One is Charlie Yost, who is a Republican. He is running for 3rd Taxing District Commissioner. He's served in that position before. And apparently he and the mayor go way back, and they were schoolmates at some point. And Fran Collier Clemens, she was sworn in 2013, but she had served in that role before. So Commissioner Collier Clemens asked if payment for the crosswalk will be made by the applicant, which would be Triangle Community Centers. And Ms. Hebert said that it is a shared cost up to $7,500, and the funds will go into an escrow account. And Mr. Hostin, Colin Hostin, who is an at-large representative on the Common Council, lives in Village Creek. He's also a board member with Triangle Community Center. I'm not sure if that's enough of a conflict. It's not a material conflict, but it's somewhat of a conflict for him tonight if he were to vote on this proposal for the $75,000 allocation. So one thing I noticed about this particular intersection is there are already paved crosswalks there. So the $75,000 expenditure would be to enhance what is existing with kind of a rainbow type design that would be executed with pavers. I can't imagine that this is going to be a paint only job for that kind of money. The reason that it strikes me, well, there are a couple reasons that it strikes me. One of those is related to what we are spending on sidewalks and curbs. So the Planning Commission recommended a budget of $1.5 million this year for sidewalks and curbs. And the mayor cut that down to $650,000. And what he said in his letter to the Planning Committee, which is a subset of the Common Council, the most substantial reduction was in sidewalk projects. The reduction in funding does not represent a lack of commitment to these projects, but rather a desire to see them planned out across the city in a strategic manner in conjunction with the plan of conservation and development. That plan has not yet been approved, but it begs the question, if you're going to hold up on sidewalk repairs because the POCD hasn't been approved yet, then why execute on this project? This is sort of outside the box. It's not part of any plan. I don't disapprove of an artistic sidewalk program. I think in these cases, given the cost, I would like to see the applicant cover more of the cost. They are a not-for-profit. They could fundraise for this. It seems like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And I would rather see us spend $75,000 this year on an enforcement officer to enforce illegal apartments. I think in the long run, that's going to pay off for us, because as we reduce illegal apartments, we are going to reduce the burden on our schools. I have no objection conceptually, artistically, ideologically to rainbow crosswalks, but I'm concerned that we don't have any sense of a plan, that the mayor is guilty of emotional decision-making here, and that his decision to allocate, or rather to approve this project, the allocation process happens tonight, but he approved of a project that costs $75,000 and had previously slashed the sidewalk budget down to $650 from $1.5 million. So these are inconsistent decisions, and they strike me as emotional decisions. And I don't think we can afford to operate a city like that. And I certainly don't think we can afford, on the one hand, to pay for very costly upgrades to sidewalks in the vicinity of the Lockwood Matthews Mansion, and on the other hand, very grudgingly allow for a $5,000 painted sidewalk on East Avenue. West Avenue already outpaces East Avenue for crosswalks, and most of the ones on West Avenue are paved. They're lucky on East Avenue to get a painted crosswalk. I am in favor of safety. I think most of you are in favor of safety. I love the idea of an artistic crosswalk. I think it's a beautiful idea. I'm concerned about how we're paying for it and the manner in which the mayor has diverted funding away from sidewalks, which are desperately needed, because not everybody in the city is driving to work. Many people are walking to pick up public transportation. Some of us, like me, are walking for recreation and exercise. So I object to the way that this was done. It is inconsistent. It seems to be somewhat of a capricious and an emotional decision. I also have a little concern about the fact that there was a single bidder, Layden Industries. I'm not sure why that happened. There should be more than one bidder. They ought to send it back to the drawing board, frankly. If this is coming down to the single bid, there's an email, and I'm assuming that Monique Cipriano is the person in charge of reaching out to the department or the chiefs to find out if they have anything for the consent calendar. And Ms. Hebert did add this to the consent calendar. That was August the 21st. My other big concern is that this seems to have been fast-tracked to some extent. The folks, the North Green Association has been lobbying to get a crosswalk on East Avenue for more than a year. And I don't know when this went out to bid. I don't know when Triangle Community Center filled the application for the artistic crosswalk because I haven't been able to look it up. The information is not available. I do have a copy of the solicitation details. You can see it right there. There's an end date, which was August the 29th, but I don't have a start date for it. It might have been August the 1st, for all we know. I would like some more information on that. And because Ms. Hebert was asked to add to the consent calendar on the 21st of August, at that point she hadn't opened the bid. So you can see here there's a blank. And what she said is, well, we're going to fill in that blank once we open the bids. And there was only one bid. I think that the Common Council should table this for now. And again, I have no objection to a rainbow crosswalk. I think we have better things to spend $75,000 on at this point. Anything decorative that requires pavers should be privately funded. And I do have some concerns about Layden Industries. Layden Industries was a big backer of Mayor DeStefano of New Haven. And as you all should know, Leisha King, the chief of staff, came to us from New Haven. Other little tidbits, the president of the Lockwood Matthews Mansion, and they will benefit somewhat from these enhancements, is the wife of the chair of the Newark Parking Authority. So, you know, there's like 2 degrees of separation in the city, and I think we need to knock it off. And we need to be more transparent. And Mayor Rilling, your advertising transparency, I'd like you to live up to that. I hope that you all will be able to attend the Common Council meeting tonight. If not, I hope you'll be there with me in spirit, and I hope you have a great day. Ta-ta.